And happy Sunday, everybody. We are going live, and it looks like we've already got a pretty good crowd over here on the chat to the side. If you are joining us on a replay of this live stream, just go ahead and scroll past, hit your little slider, and drag past the graphic that's up on your screen right now. That's when we get into it and start saying hello to folks. And right now, we're just waiting for all the notifications to go out. And I can wait for the clock to strike 12. And I come over here and push the button and say, hey y'all, how you doing today? Hope everybody's having a decent Sunday. Hope everything is going your way. And certainly hope that everybody is happy and healthy. So, what a heck of a day already. Let's go ahead and go down the list and see who all is joining us this morning. We have Lee Dale and Jeff from Arizona there at JMJ Love Dance. Mr. Ayal Peleg checking in from Israel. Ice Cream 62 taking it easy, living the good life in Italy. Mr. Michael Mazalek, how you doing today? Norm Peterson down in my old stomping grounds, Reno, Nevada. 4 inches of snow on the ground? No, thank you. I don't do the 4-letter S word anymore. I don't do it well. Bill Stauffer out in Galena, Ohio. Jeff Rozak at the NBC Sunday Night Football Compound. It's a hard life, Jeff, in it. Jim Hester out in Louisville, Kentucky. Ray Jones in Dickinson, Texas. Steve Late, hope you're still doing well and on the mend there in soggy, wet London. Lewis Denton, Gastonia, North Carolina. Some beautiful country back there. Some beautiful country. Solitude Woodworking. First time joining a live. Loved your videos. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. And thank you. Aaron Hansen, you the man. Thank you. I just got a notification from you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it. From Bridgeton, New Jersey. All right. Let's see. Jack Painter from the sunny side of lower northeastern lower Michigan. Did you have to memorize all that? Mario Medina. Good morning. Good morning. Well, it's good afternoon now. Paul Stewart in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Yvonne Lungevin. I hope I didn't just butcher your name. Mark Kulig in Chicago. Rob over on Vancouver Island to the north of me, about a day's drive. How you doing, Rob Lemke? Greg, the Snow Crusher. The man, the myth, the legend up in Manitoba. See David Pingle in Wisconsin. Bob Lee in Ohio, my electrical guru. Charles Lawrence, okay, Chuck from Denver. Jeff over at Woody Wan saying hi from sunny Connecticut, 75 degrees. Man, we're only supposed to get up to 41 today. We'll see what happens. Let's see, Peter Coughlin from Ireland. Warren Van Newell. And, Ice Cream 62 says, unfortunately, they're in the red zone under a second lockdown. Well, let's hope this goes a lot quicker than the last one. Ben, I'm here's hoping I don't butcher it. Scheuer, or is it Shower? We'll see. Steve says he's feeling better. Good. Glad to hear it. And Leighton Davis from Wales. Now, is that Cafferly? Carefully? No. Can't be. The Welsh language has always completely mystified me. But, I'm not used to it, so what can I say? Dave Matthews checking in from Western New York and Tom Miller from Austin. Welcome aboard, y'all. Thanks for joining in. Before we get going on questions and answers and what have you, or even talking about the video, except peripherally, I had a few emails this morning of people kind of not so much panicked, but just concerned about when I said in today's video that I was not going to be posting weekly videos. This is just a temporary thing. It's been, well, a 3-year, 4-year tradition since I started doing YouTube videos seriously. Around this time of year, I stopped posting weekly videos just to give myself time. I've got 5 kids, 6 grandkids, and I need time to make projects for Christmas gifts and just catch up on things around the house. Because as it sits right now, my normal schedule is research the video I'm going to put out on Wednesday, shoot the video on Thursday, edit Friday, close caption Saturday, and it goes live Sunday, and here we are Sunday afternoon. Well, that doesn't leave me a whole heck of a lot of time to do other things. So what I have to do is take November, December off, focus on their projects, get Christmas done and behind us. Then in the new year, I can come back with a fresh start for the new year. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm not that easy to get rid of. Ask my wife. She's been trying for 32 years. I will be back at the beginning of the new year. I'm also going to take this time to practice up on a few techniques that I've been hoping to get done for the last couple of years. I have a couple of gifts that are going to involve those techniques, and I'm not going to explain what those techniques are right now, just in case something falls through. But they've been highly requested. I'm going to finally go ahead and get practiced up, get some success under my belt, and then come back and share my experience. So we'll start, I guess you would call it season 5 now, 4, 5, something like that, at the beginning of the new year. And yes, I will show the projects that I'm making. I can't do it now or in progress because, as you know, everything being public, for some strange reason, notice the sarcasm, for some strange reason, my family likes to pay attention to my channel right around this time of year to see if they can, kind of stick their nose under the tent and see what they're going to be getting for Christmas. And it doesn't work that way. I don't post anything. So to my daughters, if you're watching, nice try. So, so that's going to be just a work in progress, and after the fact, I'll start posting pictures and videos and what have you. If you follow me over on Facebook, that's your better chance of seeing what I'm working on after the fact, after Christmas. But I won't be posting any progress pics between now and then. So, the other thing is I've noticed in the comment section of this morning's video a lot of commiseration about the price of building materials. They're just going crazy, and it's been the perfect storm. I mean, everything from staff reductions at the lumber mills. I mean, I've got a plywood mill about 1.5 miles away from me down the road, and they're running one single shift where they used to run 3 shifts. They're running 1 shift now, and it's just simply because of restrictions. They can only have a certain number of people. Most of the process is automated, so that helps, but they still have to have people there on the machines for safety reasons, and they also have to have people there, driving forklifts and trucks and working on the machines, maintaining the equipment and what have you. But with the restrictions they're under, they can only run 1 shift. So their production has dropped by 2/3. Add to that the fires that we had here that destroyed a lot of the timber. Some of it they are able to salvage, but a lot of what they were going to cut is just gone. Up north in northern Oregon, they had entire mill yards. We're talking stacks of logs, 20 and 30 feet tall, just, thousands of logs just go up in flames. These were cut and drying and getting ready to be sawn into lumber. They're just gone. So the supply is dried up here locally anyway, in this region. And with the reduction in productivity, it just can't keep up with demand. So, okay, so that's, the prices will eventually come down, but the quote for the shed that I'm interested in went up about a third. And I just said, nah, there's no way I can do that. So the shed's going to go on hold until prices come down. And that gives me time to add a little bit to my savings and maybe get a few upgrades that I wouldn't have been able to afford before. So that's what I'm going to have to do. So let's go ahead and start getting into questions. I'll take questions about just about any topic here. Let's see, Lee Dale came in with a question right at the beginning. He's saying he has desktop 10.5. How do I select two, I'm thinking you mean vectors, at the same time to use in toolpath setup? Okay, well, let me bring Aspire up and we'll do a screen share here. And if you're going to, let's see, I'll go ahead and just draw a couple of vectors. I'll do a circle. Let's do a circle here, and I'll do a rectangle here. Yeah, let's do that. I'll select that one and get rid of it. The way to select two vectors to do anything with, let alone if you're going to modify them, resize them, combine them, or what. The way to select two vectors is to click on one, hold down the Shift key, and click on the other one so that they're both selected at the same time. Now, you also have another way of doing that, and that is drawing a box. But the direction you draw the box does matter. If I click now and then drag a box from right to left, the box just has to touch the vector, and that vector will be selected. So I can drag the box through both vectors and release, and both of them are selected. Now, if I drag from left to right, let's say I go up here, and I drag the box from left to right, everything within that box will be selected. So you can see over here, I am touching that vector. The minute I release, only this vector is selected because it was within the box. So there are several ways of doing it. You can click on the vector, hold down Shift, and click the other vector. Or conversely, you can just drag a box to touch both of them, and you've got them selected. Then over here in the Toolpath tab, I can come into a Profile Toolpath and do whatever calculations I need to do. They are both selected. I can calculate the toolpath, and then there we go. Both of them will be carved. So I hope that answers the question. I hope that's what you were referring to. We'll go ahead and close out of that and then come back over to live here. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see. Keep going down here. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. And here we go. Dave Matthews says, did you see the ride around toy airplane that was posted on the Gatton Facebook group the other day? Looked like a great project if you have any smaller grandkids, 4 or younger. I did not see it, but I have seen writing toys for kids. My problem is my youngest grandchild who lives here locally, where I could take something that large to, turns 20 this year. So, they're a bit above and beyond. They're a bit above and beyond that age. So, no, I didn't see it. I have seen some of those projects, and those are very cool. To be honest with you, if I'd have had a CNC router back when they were young enough to ride something like that and play with something like that, I would have loved to have made a rocking motorcycle for my grandson. But, he's 25, and what can I say? Okay, let's see. Jim Hester, getting back into CNC after a long illness. Well, get well soon there, Jim. Making a raised text sign in cedar. Is it a bad idea to cut through shellac and paint instead of tedious masking around the text? No, it's not a bad idea. But, I've never shellacked before carving. I always do it after, but I know a lot of people do. The main reason for shellacking or using a finish of any kind, I know some folks use polyurethane. I've done that myself, even lacquer at times. The main reason for doing that is to keep the paint from bleeding into that end grain you just created when you cut. So shellacking beforehand can help in that regard, especially a softwood like cedar. But no, I don't think it's a bad idea. How much it's going to help if you shellac before the carve, I really don't know. It might help some, but definitely shellac after the carve, because that's the whole reason for putting the shellac, is to keep that paint from bleeding. So, hope that answers that question. Let's see. And thank you, Ben, for helping me with how to pronounce your name. Sure. Okay. Terrific. Let's see. Mark Kulig wants to know about Mach 3. When you're changing feed rates on the fly, do you have to change any settings? No, you do not have to change any other settings. It's something I don't do very often. Let me load up Mach 3 here, and I will show what he is referring to. Okay, wait for, come on, Mach 3 start. Okay. There we go. We'll switch over to screen share. He's talking about the Mach 3. This is the Mach 3 window. This is the controller software I use. When you're talking about increasing the feed rate on the fly, we're talking about this area right in here. When Mach 3 starts, the default is set for 6, in my case, inches per minute. This is units per minute, you can see. And I have it set up to run Imperial system. And here is your feed rate override. You can increase the feed rate 10% per bump. You can use that up arrow. You can see 6 clicks, I've increased it to 160%. Or you can drag the slider for a maximum of 250%. So, and then to reset it back down to 0, back to the normal 100%, just click the reset button and it goes back to the feed rate. You do not have to change any other settings. You can do this on the fly, and that's how I adjust my feeds and speeds. It'll be cutting along at whatever feed rate I have it initially set to cut, and then I'll come along and I'll start increasing that feed rate. It increases your feed rate and your plunge rate by 10% of the original rate with every click. So it will adjust your plunge rate as it adjusts the feed rate. And I'll move it to a point to where I start to see or hear any kind of a vibration or maybe a little bit of chatter, then I'll back it down again another 10%, and that's the feed rate that I'll run it at. So every piece of material is a little bit different. I've had some pieces of maple that were different in the same board, where you'll get chatter at one end of a board and none at the other end. So that's why I don't preach any gospel as far as feed rates, because every piece of material is different and it's going to tell you how fast it wants to cut. Now, I will not be cutting anything at like 10 inches per minute. That's for like metals and what have you, and real hard materials, or very, very tiny, tiny bits. But anyway, you can adjust the feed rate down or up with the slider. You can slow it down below if you're running too fast, but no other settings need to be changed at all. So, hope that answers that. Okay. Let's see here. Paul Stewart wants to know, do you ever draw in other programs than Toolpath and Vectric? I haven't in a long time. When I was first getting started, I would sometimes draw a little bit. I would sometimes draw a little bit in SketchUp, or at that time, DraftSite. DraftSite was free for several years. Then suddenly they went to a subscription service, kind of sort of like Fusion 360. So I've changed over to a program called NanoCAD. But to be honest with you, I don't use either one of those much at all. About the only time I use SketchUp anymore is if I'm drawing something up and I need a way to visualize it to show my wife. Then I'll go ahead and draw it up in SketchUp so that she can see it in 3D. I don't draw in NanoCAD or any other CAD program. I draw directly in Aspire anymore. It's just, I've gotten so used to it, it's just easier to use. In fact, my little sunglasses and mustache logo, I drew that up in Vcarve Pro, then exported it, and I exported it as a DXF, then imported that into an imaging program and filled in the colors and what have you. So, no, I generally don't really draw in any other programs. Let's see, Lewis Denton, when you ramp in on a profile, does the software automatically remove the ramp? Okay, I'm not sure what you mean. If you ramp in on a profile toolpath, the bit will come around and cut. Okay, it'll ramp down, come around and cut past that ramp, if that's what you mean. The bit will come back and cut at that depth to where the ramp ended. Then if it needs to ramp down for another pass, it'll start the new ramp at the end of the old ramp after it's been cut out. So, let's see. Do you have any videos? Okay, Mark Kulig wants to know, do you have any videos on calibrating your CNC axis, motor steps, etc.? No, I do not. I will look to see if Dave Gatton has a video on his YouTube channel, or Peter Posuelo. I just wrote a note to myself to look for those. I believe one or both of them have a video on how to use, on how to calibrate in Mach 3, but I don't have one. So, let's see, I missed one here. Leighton Davis wants to know, my X is shorter than my Y. How can I start my project from the long side? Does the position of the datum determine the orientation of the job? Okay, you'll not be surprised to know I did a video on that subject. It's been a while back now, and I just made a note to myself. I will put a link to that video in the description of this video. And basically, I go through how I did it, because my first CNC router was the exact same way. My X axis was the long axis, and my Y axis was the shorter axis, and my gantry moved along the X axis. Or excuse me, my gantry moved on the X axis, and the Z, the spindle, moved front to rear on the Y. So it was 90 degrees off from what folks would think of as a normal setup. So I did a video on how I took care of that. Basically, I just drew everything up normal, and then before I started tool pathing, I rotated everything 90 degrees. But I go into further depth in that video. So, and I'll put a link to that in the description box after we get finished live here today. So, let's see. Jeffrey Stewart, can you suggest why I might be having difficulty centering a slot top to bottom? Are you talking about centering a slot top to bottom? Are you talking about in your Y axis, or are you talking about flipping the material up on its side? Are you talking about within the thickness of the material? Let's see. Yeah, I'll need to know that. So, okay, Solitude Woodworking. Can you explain the positive and negative offset on the profile toolpath and why you would use it? I plan on doing a video about offsets. That's one of them on my list, because I do get a lot of questions about just about everywhere you see in either the job setup or in tool pathing. Just about everywhere you see you have an offset available, I get questions on. It's on the list. I just hadn't gotten there yet. So I'll bump it up on the list on how to do that. But I have not done a video on them yet. No, I'm sorry. Sandy Barker, how do you download a free file when they have a different cam? Okay, first you said I have Vcarve Pro, then you come and you said I have Carbide Motion. Let me say, I don't know anything about Carbide Motion. I've never used it. I don't know anything about Carbide Create or Carbide Motion. So I don't know that I could help you there. If you're talking about a file in a different format and you're using Vcarve Pro, you'll go to the file menu, then import vectors. Look at the different file formats that Vcarve will import, and try to get that file in one of those file formats. It won't import every single format out there, but there are quite a few formats that are considered more or less universal, like DXF files, EPS files, SVG files, things of that nature, that Vcarve will import. So, and in fact, that's why those file formats were created, was so they could be shared across different platforms and different versions of the same platform. So just look at what Vcarve will import and try to get that file in that format. And if you can't, then the bad news is you can't use it. For instance, Vcarve will not import a CRV 3D file that's made for Aspire. It just won't. So if you've got a CRV 3D file, you're just kind of stuck. You can't use it. It won't import. So let's see. David Pingle, do you have a video that shows how to construct the four sides of a picture frame? Short answer is no. The long answer is not yet. Film at 11. Let's see. Mark Kulig, thank you, sir. Don't call me sir, please. Just talk to me like I'm trying to borrow money from you. Let's see. Mark Kulig, do you have an updated video of your laser software using with Inkscape? No, I don't. I no longer have that laser. It was so freight damaged, it would not, I couldn't get it aligned at all. So it was just basically sent back. I got a full refund on it. When they got it, they looked at it and went, holy cow. No wonder you couldn't get it aligned. And I had it just long enough to know that it wouldn't suit my purposes. It just isn't big enough for me. So I'm kind of done with laser for right now. So, let's see. Onyx. Okay, Edwin Thatcher wants to know, can you download spell checked into Vcarve text? No, you can't. And that is something I have suggested to Vectric that they look into, incorporating spell check in the text windows, in the text tools. I'm not the only one. I know several people have suggested to them, and their response was positive, but I can't tell you whether it's going to be incorporated or not. But what I do is I cheat like crazy. I type out the text in a word processor, do the spell check there, then just copy and paste it into Vcarve or Aspire, whichever. But yeah, currently there is no way to incorporate spell check. I wish there was. So let's see. Onyx 1, thanks for your videos. You're welcome. So helpful. Thank you. I downloaded a Sun clip art from Design and Make and don't know how to completely cut it out. Well, I'll put there should already be a link in my 3D carving for beginners playlist down in the description of this video. If there isn't, I'll put one there as soon as we get done here. Everything from Design and Make is created on Aspire. They might use other tools to touch up a few things. I don't know. But, and they're saved in formats that can be imported into Vcarve. So if you follow any of the 3D videos I have out there, it'll help you carve and then cut it out. So I don't know the project. I don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but I have videos on carving a small 3D model in a larger project, and I have standalone 3D models that are going to be cut out themselves, just by themselves. So you should be able to find something there to help fit your needs. Excuse me. Boy. Let's see. Thank you for doing that, Steve. Okay, Corey Riker says, greetings. Do you find feed speed or RPMs more crucial to clean text engraving in hardwoods when using V-bits? I feel mine could be better. Dirty little secret, if it's just text that you're doing, I run the toolpath twice. And I'm a home hobbyist. I can afford to take the time. And when you're talking about text, you're usually only talking about 5 or 6 minutes. They're equally important. Having said that, I have a variable speed router on my CNC. I don't have a spindle. And I keep that set at about 16,500 RPMs. So that's part of that increasing or decreasing the feed rate on the fly that I was just talking about in Mach 3. I can see how it's cutting, and if I'm getting a lot of chip out or tear out or something like that, I can slow it down or I can speed it up. But I find the the best factor for getting nice clean V carvings is I just run it twice, because if it's missed something or if it's got a little string of grain hanging over it, it'll come back and it'll just clean it right out. So I hope that helps you. Let's see. Solitude woodworking. Little off topic, but have you ever seen or created what's called the impossible dovetail box? No, I have not. I've seen it, but I have not tried to. Cut one out. You're asking about dovetail bits. I've never used a dovetail bit on the CNC. But it is, the theory behind it and the logic behind it is the same as a keyhole bit. Vectric software will not let you enter a bit that makes an undercut. So you have a dovetail bit that the cutting edges are like so. It will not let you enter that into the software. You have to take that wide diameter and enter it as an end mill, a standard end mill of that diameter, and then just kind of fake it. I've never used a dovetail bit on the CNC. Legacy Woodworking has several good videos on using a dovetail bit. And let's see, I just wrote a note to look through Legacy's catalog, and I'll post a link to one of their videos on the dovetail bit down in the description of this one as soon as we're finished live here. Let's see. Mr. Matt Haas, awesome wood things. Wish material prices were lower. Yeah, don't we all? Let's see. Woodbee says, is it possible to make the 15-degree pocket holes like those machines do? Not with a flat face like that. I imagine you could jig up your piece of material to cut something, but between you and me, I think just a little indication, just a little spot to indicate where you want that pocket hole would be the way to go, and then just use a pocket hole jig. Sometimes the CNC is not the best bit for the job, the best tool for the job. So let's see here. Okay. Mark Kulig, when you're surface engraving into plastic with a spring-loaded bit, does the router have to be running or no? If you are using a spring-loaded diamond drag bit, do not turn on the router or spindle. No, you'll do it once. You can do anything once. But if you turn on that router or spindle with that diamond drag bit in there, you're going to learn the meaning of explosion real quick. I don't mean the router's going to explode. I mean the bit's going to blow up. It'll throw that tip right out of there. So, and also, Sharpie pins do the same thing, and don't ask me how I know that. It's not on my channel, but if you look on YouTube for Sharpie explosion, you will find a short video where somebody, I don't remember who it was, somebody made a mistake and forgot to disable the spindle when they went to draw with their CNC, and the Sharpie say boom. So... let's see. Oh boy, I need to start wrapping this up. We're already 40 minutes in. Andrew Hodgkinson was wondering if there's a way to scan a 2D on a home printer scanner, then cut a flat object. Yes, sir, there is. Peter Pasuelo. Let's see. 2D scan. Peter Pasuelo posted a video about that on his YouTube channel, CNC Nuts. I will find that video and put a link to it in the description of this video as soon as we're done on live here. So let's see here. Jeffrey Stewart asked again, can you suggest why I might be having difficulty centering a slot on the y-axis, top to bottom? Well, let me bring up Aspire here, and we can take a look. And yes, I am screen sharing. We'll shoot back over here to the drawing tab, and I'll go ahead and get rid of these two here. Let's say for giggles, you have this slot, and I want square corners. Let's say for giggles you have this spot and you want to center it horizontally on your material. Select it, come over here to Align Selected Objects, and you can align it horizontally right here. This is aligning it to the material. It'll center it in the material. Now if you want to, let me close this, and we'll drag it down here. If you want to center it vertically in Y, you would again align selected object, and then right here is aligning to the material vertically, and that centers that up. I hope that is what you're referring to. There are various ways of accomplishing just about everything, but that I find is one of the easiest. Just select it and then either align it to the material horizontally, align it to the material vertically, or using this one, it'll align both. Now, if that slot is within another vector, let's say for giggles here, it's down here, and you have a rectangle here. And you want this aligned vertically in Y on the center of this rectangle. You'll select the slot, then you'll select the rectangle last. Come back over here, and you want to be down in this section. Align the selected objects to the last item in the selection. So you take the object you want to align, then select the object you want to align it to, then use these buttons here, and that will put it in the center of that rectangle in Y. So I hope that's what you were referring to. So let's see. Okay, Percy Kuka says, I've just made a new spoil board. I'm using a 51mm clearing bit. It seems to leave round marks on the sides. Am I running at a higher feed or plunge? Let's see. Oh, it's leaving round marks on the sides. Do you mean it's digging down into the spoil board, or it's just not going all the way off the edge? If you're having if you're having problems with it not going off of the edge and clearing the entire edge, make your tool path slightly wider. When I surface my spoil board, I have my bit go off the edge of the material by about a half of the bit's diameter. Okay, it's leaving circular marks along the edges. You might be a little bit too fast, but generally speaking, that's about normal. If you can't feel any indentation, or if you can't feel any roughness, you're doing just fine. But if it's just visually, I don't know, you might be going a little bit fast. I mean, try bumping it down about 10% and seeing what happens. So Jeffrey Stewart says, I have no trouble in the Vcarve software. Okay. It's on it's on the CNC. Yeah. Your best bet would probably be to get a hold of the CNC or the controller's manufacturer and see what's going on there. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Wow, that one snuck up from behind me. If it's a if it's a control software issue, check the website for that control software and the CNC machine itself, and look for a support community or a support forum. The membership of these support Thank you, Mark. The membership of these support forums is mainly users like you and me, folks who own that machine and have used that software, and they help one another troubleshoot issues. They help folks with tips and tricks, share files and share different tips and techniques and what have you. But I would definitely look into, I would go first to the machine manufacturer's website and look for a support community or support forum. If you get no joy there, look at the control software. Like I use Mach 3. So if I'm having an issue with Mach 3, I go to Mach 3's support forum. If I'm having an issue with my Gatton CNC, I go to that support community over on Facebook. So they know the machine best. And you'd be amazed. There are some real wizards over there in these support forums. I would also highly recommend, if anyone is using Vectric software, get into the Vectric support forum. Go over to vectric.com and look. Just click support, and it'll drop down a menu. You can look at support forum. Click on that link, join the support forum, and cruise through the forum and just browse. There are some absolute artists using this software, and the overwhelming majority are more than eager to help you if you're having an issue, or just show off a project, share projects, show you how they did it, show you how they drew it. Tips and tricks, little techniques that you maybe don't know about or forgot about. These guys are the pros from Dover. Some of these folks have been using it. They go back to version 3 and 4. So one example is Michael Tyler. You may or may not recognize the name, but he is the guy who designs all of Vectric's free monthly project. He designed the files for the Paradise box, which has become like a CNCer's rite of passage if you use Vectric software. You have to cut a Paradise box. He's the guy who designed that. He designs all of their free monthly projects. He's a member over there, and not only is he very knowledgeable, he's just one heck of a good guy. I mean, he's more than happy to share tips, tricks, and techniques. He's just a very good guy. He's a decent person. So I highly endorse the Vectric support forum. It's a lot more than just support. It's a lot of fun. So, okay. Let's see. Mark Kulik has one last question. All right. Promise. What's the spray and tape you use to hold down your material? I use just plain old blue painter's tape. The trick is to burnish it down onto the spoil board and burnish it down onto the material. I use a little wood-wheeled, it's called a brayer. It's it's for inking rubber stamps. It's a wooden roller. But you can use a J roller for like laminates or whatever. I just burnish it down real good. And then the glue I use is made by Fast Cap. It's called 2P10, and I use their spray accelerator. However, I have it on good authority from a lot of people that any CA glue and accelerator works equally well. And the main reason I use accelerator is because it cures it almost instantly. It sets that glue almost immediately. if you don't use the accelerator, you have to try to hold even pressure on that piece of material while that glue cures a couple of minutes. So a couple of people have tried it without the accelerator and they've had mixed results. I have never had a failure using 2P10. I use 2P10 medium. I've never had a failure using 2P10 medium and their accelerator. It just works. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and Todd H. CNC says Rockler's glue works good too. Good to know. I don't have a Rockler nearby, but I do have a hardwood supplier that carries 2P10. And I buy it in the 10-ounce bottle, use what I need to use, cover it up, put it in the fridge. Just don't confuse it for hot sauce, and you're fine. So, and I use the medium thickness, yes. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, everybody. I will continue to do these live streams every Sunday, same time, same channel. I just will not be posting weekly videos from now until after the new year. I got to get some projects done. I got to get some new techniques under my belt and hopefully come back in 2021. We all come back in 2021 with a bright new outlook on life and hopefully with a song in everybody's heart. So I'll see y'all next week. Thank you very much for joining me. Now go out and do something cool. Go make some chips. Have some fun. Y'all take care.